This verse is on coffee mugs, graduation cards, airport chapel walls, and almost every time it gets quoted to comfort somebody. Trust God. Don't overthink it. He'll show you the way. The Hebrew is not saying that. It's a structural warning from a father to a son about which surface will hold when the ground underneath him starts to move. And if you've been handed this verse to calm your nerves about a decision, you've been handed the wrong tool. It's a load-bearing instruction. So, Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. That is the English the coffee mug is working from. ESV, NIV, King James, they all land roughly there. 4 moves: trust, lean not, acknowledge, paths. Each one rendered in the register of feelings and navigation. And every one of those 4 English words is sitting on top of a Hebrew word that is doing something physical, something concrete, something the son hearing it in the original would have felt in his body, not his mood. The reason this matters is that the man writing Proverbs chapters 1 through 9 is not handing out an aphorism. He is a father teaching a young man on the edge of adulthood economic decisions, marriage decisions, friend group decisions, where to place his body weight before the world starts pressing on him. That's the whole shape of chapters 1 through 9. One long address. Father, son, listen. And 356 sits at the center of it. It's the hinge. So the sentence in the Hebrew is a sentence about load bearing. The English is gentler than the original on purpose. Centuries of translators have rounded the corners of this verse, and the rounding is what turns the sentence from terrifying into inspirational. It's a specific set of choices, and I want to show you which choices got made, because when you hear the original underneath them, the verse stops being about feelings and starts being about where your structural weight is placed. First word, Batach, translated trust. Batach is not a feeling. The root sense is to lie helplessly extended, to go flat. The Arabic cognate means to lie face down on the ground. In Psalm 22, it describes an infant at the breast, a body that has stopped bracing because something else is holding it up. It's used of a city at ease behind its walls. It's used of a man secure because his possessions seem stable. Every one of those uses assumes a surface under the body. So when the English says trust, what the Hebrew means is your structural muscles can release because something else is bearing the weight. It's not warmth toward God, it's weight off your own legs. If you are still bracing, still running contingency plans, still holding the outcome in your jaw, you have not done Batach, no matter how sincere your feelings are. The metric is muscular release. Second word, Sha'an, translated lean not. This is the one the English really softens. Sha'an is what Saul does on his spear before he dies in 2 Samuel 1. It's what old men do on a staff in Zechariah 8. Isaiah keeps accusing Israel of doing it, Sha'aning on Egypt. And the accusation isn't you thought about Egypt. The accusation is you put your weight on Egypt. That's what the verb is. Transfer of body weight onto a supporting surface. And the thing the father is telling his son not to transfer his body weight onto is his own binah, his understanding, which is the same word the father has spent the previous 2 chapters commanding his son to pursue. Chapter 2, verse 2, incline your ear to binah. Cry out for it. Dig for it like silver. So in chapter 2, the father says, pursue understanding like buried treasure. In chapter 3, the father says, do not put your body weight on the thing I just told you to pursue. That is not a contradiction. It is a distinction the English cannot carry. The Hebrew is saying the faculty is good. It is a tool. It is not the wall you lean on. Third verb, Yashar. He will make your paths straight. This is the cleanest example of the softening. Yashar is not a GPS verb. It is a construction verb, a road-building verb. Isaiah 40, verse 3, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. That is Yashar. To level, to clear obstruction, to make a path traversable. In the ancient Near East, when a king traveled, there were engineers who went ahead of the royal procession to clear the ground, move rocks, fill ruts, cut back brush, so the king could move. That is the image in Yashar. Not a navigation system, a crew. And the tense of the verb in verse 6 is PL imperfect. Ongoing, habitual action. Not a single act. He keeps clearing the road. Not in advance, as you walk. So the promise in verse 6 is not God will tell you where to go. The promise in verse 6 is God will make the ground passable under your feet while you are moving. You see what that does to the verse? The English built a sentence about feelings and directions. Trust God, feel better, He'll show you where. The Hebrew built a sentence about posture and infrastructure. Release your braced muscles. Stop staking your life on your analysis, and the road will be walkable under you, even though you cannot see it being cleared. Two different verses, really. I'm gonna try to say this next part and probably not get it right the first time, because I want to tell you what this verse is actually offering and what it is not offering. And I've been working the distinction in my head for a few days now, and it keeps moving on me. The thing this verse is not offering is an answer. It is not a decision-making formula. You do not acknowledge God and receive a clear sign about which job to take. What it is offering is something harder, and I think better. It is offering you a way to keep standing when your best analysis and God's clear instruction disagree, because that is the collision the Father is writing to. His Son is about to enter situations. A woman who looks like a reasonable choice, a financial move that looks prudent, a friend group that offers real returns, where his Bina is going to tell him one thing and the covenant is going to tell him another. And under the framework, my understanding is my guide, there is no way through that collision. You either have to distrust your mind, which contradicts the command to pursue understanding, or you disobey God, which contradicts the covenant. The Father breaks the framework. Bina is a tool. It is not the foundation. The foundation is Batach in Yahweh. You keep thinking. You stop standing on your thoughts. That is the architecture change. That is what this verse does, inside a life. Let me put it on the ground. The moment this verse actually shows up is not the moment you think it is. It is not the big crossroads. Not should I take the job? Should I marry this person? Should I move cities? Those are the moments you go looking for the verse, because those are the moments you want an answer. The moment the verse shows up is smaller than that. It is not the conversation you have been dreading all week. It is not the courageous talk with the boss, the hard call to the family member. The moment everyone would agree was a crossroads. It is smaller than that. Quieter than that. It is the conversation you are already 2 minutes into. The coworker is still mid-sentence, and you are rehearsing a response in your head. You already know what honesty would sound like. Your analysis has produced a better version. Softer, technically true, sidesteps the thing that actually needs naming. Your Bina has done good work. It has built you an elegant way to not obey. And the verse, the actual Hebrew of the verse, is asking, which surface is bearing the weight of what you're about to say? If you lost confidence in your strategic version tomorrow, if somebody showed you it was off, would you still do the honest thing? If the answer is no, your analysis was the load-bearing surface, not God. And the test of Batach is whether the obedience survives independent of whether the analysis survives. That is a hard sentence. I am going to let it sit. Second moment. And this one is different. It's Sunday afternoon. The driveway is wet. You have just backed the car in from somewhere. Could be a pharmacy run, could be a kid's practice, does not matter. You're sitting there for a second before you go inside. There is a decision you are frozen on, a real one. You do not know what the outcome is going to be. You have been trying to think your way to the end state for weeks. You want God to disclose the destination. And the verse, the actual verb, Yashar, ongoing road clearing, is saying you do not get the destination. You get a passable next step. The engineers are out ahead of you, moving rocks. And the only way you see the road get cleared is by walking on it. Which means the question the verse is asking, sitting there in the driver's seat, is not, what is the answer? The question is, what is the next step Scripture already authorizes? Do that one. The road past it will clear as you move. And I know, that is not the thing you wanted the verse to say. The thing you wanted was the map. The map is not on offer. The engineers are. One more place to sit before we land. Eve in Genesis 3. When the text describes the fall, it uses 3 verbs of her own assessment. She saw, she desired, she judged. The tree was good for food, a delight to the eyes, desirable to make one wise. Those are 3 acts of Bina. Good analysis, careful analysis. She is not being stupid. The problem is not that she thinks. The problem is that she Sha'ans on her thinking. She transfers her structural weight onto her own understanding against God's explicit word. And the world comes apart under the misplaced load. Proverbs 3:5 is the reissuance of the command whose first violation unmade the world. The Father knows what collapse under misplaced weight looks like. He is trying to teach his Son not to run Eve's play. And then Jesus, in the garden, the night before the cross. Not my will, but yours. He has full cognitive clarity. His Bina is intact. He knows exactly what the cup contains. And he refuses to lean on his own assessment against the Father's will. That is this verse, lived all the way through. Somewhere right now, there is a man on a porch step at the end of a long day. The sun is going down behind his neighbor's roof. He has a decision he cannot see the end of. He does not know how it resolves. He's not pretending to know. He is taking the next step Scripture already named. The road clears under him.